You guys ready?
Oh, yeah, thanks.
Welcome to the Board of County Commissioners meeting on this beautiful day, the 29th of January. You know, any break in the weather we get right now is welcome, no question about that. Prior to officially starting our meeting, we always ask for local clergy to come and lead us in prayer. This morning, David Tennant is here from Owensville United Methodist Church. David, we are pleased to have you here and that you continue to be a supporter of this program. So,
Well, thank you so much.
podium is yours, please.
Looked like it'd be a good morning to pass the offering plate, just to let you know.
Could be.
Oh,
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for this day. We give you thanks for so many things, and Scripture reminds us many times about being new. The label we're familiar with, being new and improved. You talk about a new self. You talk about renewing the mind. You talk about putting off the old self and putting on the new. Father, as we are settling into this new year, I'm also reminded that of those who make New Year's resolutions, that many abandon them within the first week, and most of them by the end of January. So, Father, for this day, for the business in this place and our business when we leave, renew us. Give these people renewed minds, focus, discernment, so that their decisions and their conversations would all glorify you. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. We have one of our distinguished sheriff's officers here with us today, Major Berger. Would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's great to see so many VFW members and those who have served in the military. Is there, by a show of hands, raise your hand if you've served in the United States military. Thank you. Thank you for your service, and thanks for being here today. We will move on with our regular agenda. The first item of business is approval of regular session minutes of 1/22/25. Board, you've had these minutes, had an opportunity to review them. Do I have a motion for approval of the minutes?
I'll make the motion to approve. A second.
It's been moved and second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes. Item number C is proclamation for the designation of Sunday, February 2nd as For Chaplains Day in Clermont County. And just like to, Sabrina, I understand you're going to accept this proclamation on behalf. Thank you. We have some distinguished people here with us today. Obviously, Sabrina is the commander of the VFW at Fred Callaway Post 6770 in New Richmond, Ohio.
Yes.
So I get to see her pretty often down there. Ty Powers with VFW Post 677 in New Richmond is here also. Ken Ellis, the American Legion Post 288, Williamsburg. Ken, glad you're here today. You bet. I understand that before we do this proclamation, special services will be conducted at the American Legion Post 550 and VFW Fred Callaway Post 6770 Color Guard. 2 p.m. indoor ceremony at 200 Union Street in Richmond. Reverend Chris Torrey, Cranston Presbyterian Church, will deliver a 15-minute sermon, followed by comments from Ken Ellis of the American Legion Post 288 Williamsburg. And light snacks will be provided for all at the VFW Hall immediately after the ceremony.
That's great.
So that's a great thing. Thank you. So for Chaplains Sunday, whereas the Clermont County Council of the American Legion, as part of their service to God and country program, has requested that the Board of County Commissioners assist them in their endeavors. And whereas February 3rd, 2025 will mark the 82nd anniversary of the sinking of the troop ship Dorchester by the enemy in the waters of the North Atlantic, which carried to their deaths 4 chaplains of 3 faiths who stood united in prayer as the ship went down. Whereas it is fitting at a time when freedom of the world is still being challenged, that the citizens of Clermont County, Ohio should give special recognition to the memory of those who sacrificed their lives in the cause of freedom. And whereas the heroic deed of the four chaplains and their combined act of supreme devotion and sacrifice to American liberty and their love for mankind will be an inspiring and shining example of real brotherhood for all time to all people of the world. And whereas we must all see to it that their ultimate act of devotion to the cause of human freedom and justice for all has not been made in vain. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that we, the Clermont County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim Sunday, February 2nd, 2025, to be observed as Four Chaplains Sunday, Four Chaplains Day. And we call upon all citizens to commemorate this date with the appropriate observances and prayers in their homes and houses of worship. Furthermore, that consideration will be given to all attending the special services planned and conducted by the American Legion Post 550 and VFW Fred Calloway Post 6770 Color Guard, held at the Cranston Memorial Presbyterian Church, 200 Union Street, New Richmond, Ohio, 45157, at 2 p.m. to honor the spirit of these American heroes. And it's signed by David Painter, President, Bonnie Batchelor, Vice President, and Claire Corcoran, Member, Clermont County Board of Commissioners. Sabrina, on behalf of me as the President of Clermont County Board of Commissioners, and for your service, thank you so much. We hope you accept this proclamation and that you display it proudly. Thank you.
Thank you so
The
much.
podium is yours.
Thank you.
You.
Oh, goodness. I get to speak. Yeah. 2 years ago was the first time that I'd learned about the four chaplains. It is truly an inspiring story. They were headed for service in World War II whenever a torpedo struck their ship, sent out by a German U-boat. The four chaplains gave up their own life jackets to other soldiers who were trying to get off of that ship. They gave up their own life jackets for other soldiers to survive. One account says that the last song that they heard the four chaplains singing was Amazing Grace. And I have not been able to hear Amazing Grace since then without that being an impact to me. All of us veterans, it is a huge impact. It's a great story of solidarity, chaplains of different faiths standing there together in a horrible time of need. I hope you guys can make it. And even if you can't make it, maybe Sunday afternoon, say a little prayer, for us to continue to work in solidarity. So thank you so much.
Come on.
He's the face of Clermont County veterans.
Oh, you want to?
Yeah. So we'll have the tallest in the middle.
I'm going to stand way over here then.
You guys stand in the middle with this and display it right there.
Tallest in the middle. Did you hear that?
So that works.
I said tallest.
Oh, tallest. I'm sorry.
Come on.
Okay, I put it on backwards. Okay, no, I'm going to here. See, I'm over here.
Either I'll just go down here, or we just need to scoot everyone. I can scoot right here. I just.
You got it upside down.
Thank you.
Side step right.
You guys weren't going to tell me.
All right, and we'll go in 3, 2, 1. And one more, 3, 2, 1.
Good. Thank you so much.
Stand here today.
I got him all confused, the smallest. He's like, well, you qualify. I thought I did. Not quite yet.
We'll stay for public.
Oh, you don't want to stay for this. I don't think they do. All right.
We are at item D for public participation. Prior to starting public participation, during this time, the board does not answer questions nor engage in a debate. No member of the public may comment about a matter that is not within the purview of the county commissioner's responsibilities. County commissioners are not expected to comment on matters, but obviously the commissioners can comment. The board during this time, each speaker shall only speak once and shall be recognized by the board president before speaking in accordance with the rules. Your comments are limited to 5 minutes and the session is limited to 30. Is there anyone that would like to speak to the board? All the way in the back. Please come up and state your name and your address at the podium.
Good morning, everyone,
Morning.
and thank you for letting me speak. My name is Michael Maloney. Before I start, I would like to say what I will be bringing up today took the life of a man who myself and my family considered our best friends. I'm an Army veteran. I worked at Ford Motor Company for 36 years. Out of those 12 years, out of the 36, I worked as a private investigator for one of the biggest firms in Cincinnati. I'm also a Christian. My parents taught me early on true meaning right from wrong. And I'm not playing the name game, and everybody named you, all three of you will come up. I'm not saying anything about it though. I'm just trying to get to a point. The only thing I'm trying to do is figure out how and why this county has took a speed study and turned it into such a fiasco. Again, my name is Michael Maloney. My wife and my daughters have lived here in Clermont County for 40 years. I'm not a real expert on anything, but I know more about Old State Route 32 than most by living on the road for the last 40 years. I live at 2277 Old State Route 32, Batavia, Ohio. And the reason that I'm giving you my address is because our driveway, as are hundreds of others, are in concern and quite relevant to what I have to say. I would not be standing here in front of you all today. The reason being I had absolutely no feedback or information from the engineer's office until I took it on myself to call them. After we did what the county asked us to do by turning in the paperwork, getting the signatures, so on and so forth, I turned it all into Miss Benning's office over there on Bower Road. But the question I have here, they took this totally out of context. I don't know what they've done, but Mr. Brad Perry says that no, that's not it. This is the first one. Okay. As you request, a speed study was completed to our office on State Route 32, submitted, blah, blah, blah. Well, he submitted it and he did it all. But what he did was after approximately 50 families signed this petition to get the speed limit changed from 45 to 35. For the simple fact, maybe people will go 40, 45. He did his speed study. But what he did is took it from the bottom of the hill up to Harold Road, eastbound. We asked for the top of the hill at Wine Miller's old farm to Afton past East Fork Crossing, going into East Fork Lake. He took a mile and a half and did what he wanted to do with it and didn't even think about the rest 2.5 miles that we requested. And I have the paperwork here, but what I'm thinking is that the paperwork that I gave him, that I had to give to you, the board, because I had to give it to you, I don't think you got it. Because there's no way in the world you could read this and sign off on something like he gave you. That's the problem. Who gave him the permission to do what 50 families, and he just does what he wants to do in the 50 families? Because I got to go talk to these families now. And because if they see 40-mile-an-hour speed limits go up, they're not going to be happy. They expect 35. But he didn't do the whole speed. He didn't do anything we asked. Nothing. That's the only reason I'm here. I just feel like it should get straightened out somehow.
Do you have any paperwork for the commissioners?
Well, I do. They should have, this is what I don't think they got
Okay,
right there.
all right. Can
That
I
was
keep
the,
this?
yes, you can.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
ma'am. And other than that, if they want
Well,
anything, if
we'll
you have
just
any
give that to
questions,
them.
please.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Maloney.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
I'm Jerry Perry. I'm the finance officer for American Legion Clermont County Council. And we have issues sometimes getting appointments for veteran service officers.
Gary, not to interrupt you, tell us where you live.
I'm sorry,
Tell us where you live.
678 East Lake Lane, Mount Carmel.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
No, you're fine.
But I was just wondering if we had any thoughts about expanding our veteran service commission up there. We're kind of outgrown it, so we can hire at least one or two more VSOs, because it's taken a month for veterans to get in for an appointment just for a simple look at their paperwork. And I was just wondering if we'd ever given it any thought of expanding. And that's all I have. But thank you so much for everything you do for our veterans in Clermont County. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for everything you do. Anyone else? Sure, go ahead.
Deanna Smith, 4231 Edinburgh Drive, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45245. I'm sure most of the people in this room got this last week. And like I do every time I get one, I'll go downstairs, write them a check. But I've never felt more like I'm being taxed without representation. I've been here, coming here now for 7-8 months. And the more I come, if I feel like the worse it gets. Andy Stober, he didn't make it today, but now I grew up around his family, never knew him until I met him here. Yes. And Bonnie, that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. You apparently told him you would contact somebody, I don't know who, about his situation. And I heard you last week tell him, I called twice and couldn't get a hold of him. And then he came back with something, you said his voicemail was full. And then he says, I just talked to him this morning. And what I want to know is, you guys have email. For 20 years, email has been, why could you not just email and say, hey, I'm trying to talk to you about Andy Stober? Why could that not be an option? I know you don't have to answer it, but anybody else in the business world would have gone, hey, trying to get a hold of you, need to talk to you about Andy Stober.
May I answer her, please?
Absolutely.
I have been in contact with Tom Peck. He apologized. He said, as usual, my mailbox is always full. And if he doesn't answer the phone,
Then email is what I would.
he doesn't have that. So I could not get through to him, but I have since.
Okay.
And Andy and I had a nice conversation yesterday. So,
If it's resolved, it's resolved.
okay.
Mr. Painter.
Go ahead.
You came back with, I've had a travesty in my neighborhood, and yours was.
Absolutely.
It was horrible for the entire community. It was horrible for the neighbors. And it is something that this will be a black eye to this community for a long time. That being said, it does not compare to what Andy's going through. Andy lives with this every day. And something, just like I told you guys with Alex Price, something bad is going to happen. And that is what's going to happen out there. He needs some help. I don't know from where, I don't know from who, but somebody is going to be killed out there because he should not have to live like that. He is going down there sometime this week probably and doing the same thing. So I'm going to skip over because I'm going to run out of time here. The animal shelter. there was, I'm going to show you something that I got to through your website. This is what's showing up on the animal shelter for your all's website. Clermont Cares, or whoever they were, I think they're Cincinnati Cares now, has not had anything to do with that shelter for 4 years. And I'm guessing they don't want you using their logo. I don't know anybody from this organization, but I'm guessing they don't want their logo associated with the problems that are out there now.
Yeah, I'm not aware that we use their logo for anything.
I didn't
Okay,
see
it's in your commissioner's thing, and if you go where it's asking for animal help, you click on that link and it takes you to their, what I think they had this out there when they were with you.
who that looked at.
Zeffie was murdered this week, and I know there are a lot of circumstances to that. I don't even begin to know all the ins and outs, but there were people trying to get that dog. His owner failed him, and I'm going to put responsibility there, as well as everybody on social media has said owner failed him, but we were trying to get him. And couldn't somebody make a phone call to these people who were trying to get him, who he had lived with, before you put him down? Why are we putting these dogs down left and right? Because we don't have a behavioralist over there to help with these animals. We have, thank God for rescues like Second Chance, whoever, who are going in and getting these dogs that your staff is labeling as vicious and giving them a second chance. They have rehabilitated a lot of dogs. We've done nothing in the last 8 months that I've been coming here. We are still severely understaffed. We don't have people who are qualified in these positions. And until we do, you guys are going to be putting, who gives the okay to put these dogs down? I mean, is it Angie? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But we can't be just putting dogs down because we're too lazy to follow through with behavioralists and stuff. I don't think that's what our shelter's about. I miss the homeless people. I'll get them next week. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Go ahead.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, Joe.
My name is Jody Wilson. I go by Joe Wilson. I live in Williamsburg, Ohio. David, on January 22nd, 25th meeting, I was appalled when you interrupted Deanna Smith while she was commenting on the gross negligence of this county in the protection of one of my dear friends, Andy Stover. Property while he is being forced to contend with fentanyl and other illicit drugs on his property, drug addicts walking around on his private property and decomposing bodies on his personal property. You, David, bellowed, and I quote, "Miss Smith, before you proceed on that, 4 people were killed next to my house. Okay, just a year ago. Okay, right? One of the worst murders in Clermont County and involved their actual family. Okay, I just want to make sure we are going to make those kind of inferences. Let us make those inferences correct. First, you interrupted Miss Smith while she was speaking, and you did it so in a belittling way. You've done it more to her than once. Secondly, you made a false equivalency between ongoing drug activity and the tragedy of a family that was annihilated. These two crimes do not share a common denominator, and it was ignorant of you to equate them. Thirdly, how despicable of you to exploit the victims' families of the quadruple homicide to make some kind of point to absolve you of your neglect of Mr. Stover's plight. You are craven. Bonnie, You chime right in without asking for permission from David to speak when defending your useless actions to assist one of your contingents in addressing drugs and drug addicts on Andrew Stober's property. Now we know you do not ever need permission to talk, just in another excuse. Again, you engaged with the public, but chose not to engage with certain citizens. And again, I was one you chose not to engage with. Why is that? This is discrimination, and I am one of the citizens that is being discriminated against. Bonnie, you as a commissioner, and you served for almost 20 years as a Pierce Township trustee. Surely you know that when you referred Andy Stober to speak with trustee Tom Peck regarding his property situation, that the trustees can't solve this issue. It's a zoning issue and needs to go through the zoning board. So why did you refer him to speak with trustee? You should have known that. I am concerned for Andy Stober's mental health and safety. I spoke to Mr. Stober last night. You didn't have a wonderful conversation with him. I heard the conversation. Bonnie, at the end of the 1/2/22/25 meeting, you again gaslighted as your finest. Your words were sorry for crossing of the arms, trying to stay warm, but it's 50 degrees in here. Yeah, you said that because I called you out crossing your arms and scowling at me. What was the reason for your scowling and crossing your arms when I spoke in the past? The room was not 50 degrees then. David, at the end of 1/22/25 meeting, you brought up the RFP process. You, the commissioners, will still have total control. You will still choose what Humane Society will be able to do. At the 11/20/24 meeting, Angie Lysay, who has admitted that she does not know how to run an animal shelter, smile and grin at me. So cute. And who also ran out of dog food for the dogs because you forgot to order it. Yes, you most certainly did. Angie, you spoke about the washer and dryer that you was working with the architect. What is the status on that? It has been 2 months since you made that statement. You also stated that you was actively looking for a kennel manager. That was back in November and had an interview scheduled now. It has been 2 months now and there's still not a kennel manager. You, David, mentioned that the kennel manager is a tough position to fill. David, I know some very, very qualified people that have applied. My opinion and many others is you are choosing that it be a tough position to fill. When is this nonsense going to end? This issue with the shelter's been going on for almost 4 years. The dogs are the ones suffering. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I think it's interesting that you won't give a dog a second chance, but you
Please
give
state
her a
your
second.
name.
My name's Tracy McCullough, 4574. Tracy McCullough, if you'd be
I'm in
quiet.
control of the podium. I'll give you
Tracy
back
McCullough,
when you ask for it.
Tracy McCullough, 4574 Julep Way, Batavia, Ohio, 45103. What I think is interesting is that we're not willing to give dogs a second chance. We're willing to give her a second chance and a third chance and a fourth chance while you fumble this so poorly. It's despicable. How you talk to Deanna, how you interrupt, you are despicable. And we will be back.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
My name is Jen Mazzucchelli. I live in Bells Lake Apartments in Union Township. I want to start just by talking a little bit about myself. I don't know how. I know you may know some things about me that came up on the campaign. For example, I'm not employed. This is why. In 2011, my husband strangled me and threatened to kill me and leave my children motherless. And excuse me, I pressed domestic violence charges against him and he was arrested. And 2 weeks after that, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and I was in such physical shape that I could not work. And the stress that my ex-husband has caused over the years, I mean, if you don't know about MS, it's a progressive disease, progressive and debilitating. I don't have the same physical symptoms that I used to, but I have cognitive symptoms. So I'm on a fixed income. I have learned firsthand how difficult it is in Southwest Ohio, probably the whole state of Ohio, to find housing that's affordable. I know this is also a countrywide issue. It's especially hard if you have 3 kids that are young. It's especially hard if you're a single mom. And it's especially hard if you have a fixed income. I've been evicted twice because of my fixed income, and things happen because when you live on a low income, you're cost burdened wherever you live. And it's just a matter of how cost burdened. I have been pretty much severely cost burdened for the last 10 years. And I'm talking about this because Clermont County is in bad shape. We are one of the worst counties in the state as far as affordable housing goes, and we have not been doing anything about it. I'm really concerned. I know that a big project that, and I'm not trying to knock it, but very proud of the veterans housing, the veterans community, and I think that's great. However, I was looking at the numbers, and that's going to provide 28 homes. I read that there are about 1,700 veterans in the county, and the estimate is about 6% of those are homeless. So that's about 700 people. 28 homes is a drop in the bucket. And the biggest benefit out of that is going to be the community center, if it's used. And I do know from veterans that I know that veterans don't all the time get help when they need it. But there are hordes of other people in this county that also need housing assistance. Like, depending on which area of the county you live in, there could be anywhere from 20 to 73% renters in that area. And renters are the ones who tend to struggle the most. Rents are rising. Clermont County had one of the most rapidly rising rent rates in the state. In 2023, I believe it is, we had the highest number of evictions, one of the highest number of evictions in the state. As somebody who's been cost burdened, I know, like, I have cognitive issues, memory problems. So I have to put all my bills on my phone. One month or 1 year, my electric got shut off because I forgot to pay the electric bill 3 months in a row. And I had the money to do it. So once I paid it or whatever, but that set everything back. And if you've ever had to restart over again, you know how difficult it is to get back on track when you've fallen behind. I was looking at numbers. I think about, I have it right here. There are about 14, a little over 14% of residents who are non-institutionalized with some type of disability. I would be one of them. So people with disabilities might struggle a little bit more. I have looked and looked, and there are no improvements to affordable housing in this county in years. So with the, I hope I can talk a little bit over, because my big concern is the recent freezes on aid, on loans and grants, because a lot of the programs that we use come from federal dollars. And I'm hoping that maybe we could set up some type of task force or some type of collaboration to try to find a strategic plan to make sure that the counties do not become even more, the townships don't become even more distressed than they already are, and the cost burden residents don't fall further behind, because we don't have homeless shelters. the domestic violence situation. That situation in New Richmond was domestic violence. We need transitional shelters for people with substance abuse problems, for increased beds for domestic violence problems, all of these things. And I feel like a lot of this is what I was getting at. The rescue plan funds could have been used for this instead of the roads. $2 million to put in a roundabout on Buxton. I don't get that. I really don't. But I'm not an engineer. And now we're facing the prospect of losing a lot of federal dollars that will go to these programs, and we have no strategic plan. So I'm hoping that maybe something can come about with a task force or something where you can work with the community to develop one. Thank you for letting me talk.
You bet. Thank you. Anyone else? With that, we'll close public participation. I'm going to go ahead and move up the county staff elected official discussion. Angie, I know you have an animal shelter update. Morning.
I'm just here to provide a monthly update, what we're looking at in January for the kennel.
Okay.
So some of the numbers, board, you know that we submit these ahead of the agenda. So these were as of January 24th. At that point, we had intake of 25 dogs coming into the shelter. We had 21 adopted, 1 redeemed to owner, 3 euthanized, and 1 transferred to rescue. The current population as of the time of writing was 40. I'm going to tell you in a second about our success at My Furry Valentine. We're actually down to 32 in the shelter now and around 40 in foster. Couple of updates. The RFP for the kennel management proposals, those are due tomorrow. So we hope that we'll get some good proposals in. Those are going to be opened at 2:00 tomorrow. The My Furry Valentine adoption event was very, very successful for us. We had 8 dogs, and in final total, we had 6 dogs placed into adoptive homes. The volunteer policy we'll get to, we'll discuss. It's on the agenda today, and I have an update for you. Hiring, we're always continuing to hire for kennel attendants. We have a new one starting on Monday. I'm always interviewing for kennel attendants. That's always happening. Behavioral trainer, as of this morning, probably about an hour ago, I got a really positive email from a trainer who is potentially going to work with us. We do have to, the board knows, in order to get people paid, we do have to have a contract in place. So I believe she's going to be submitting a proposal for us to look at. So we all acknowledge we need that. But we do have to have a contract in place. Kennel Repair Facilities is working on some of the interior kennels, and I actually believe there's a couple on the exterior as well that are in need of repair. They're waiting on some pricing from a fencing company. And finally, all staff are going to be participating in the fear-free shelter training. One of the kennel attendants that joined us recently has a lot of shelter experience and brought that training to my knowledge. So all of the staff are doing that. I think that's going to be a really helpful program about learning more about dog behavior. So, and then finally, the most important thing, Archie on the is this dog. I'm telling you, I don't really know how he's still at the shelter. He is a very, very sweet dog. He's giant. He is still available for adoption. So if anyone is interested, he's waiting for a good home.
Angie, how old is Archie?
I believe he's 4 or 5, somewhere around there.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's later.
Yeah, before I move on, I just wanted to talk about a few things here with the board here at the table. You know, we've heard some comments this morning, and some of those probably need to be addressed. We talked about the animal shelter and the management contract. You know, just to be totally informative about that. The Clermont County Commissioners can never relinquish all of the requirements of an animal shelter. We are bound under Ohio revised law, which is an ORC requirement. So what we do is we subcontract that requirement to another entity. And if that entity is granted that contract, they will run that facility all their own. We don't interfere with that, but if they don't do the duties that are required under the Ohio Revised Code, we are still liable for that. And our insurance covers all of that. That's how it was with CARES. That's how it was with the Humane Society. That's how it was with the league that had that contract for 25 years, and that will always be the way. The only way that you could relinquish all of the responsibilities to that would be if a Humane Society built their own building or leased their own building and ran their own program. But still, we are still required to do the things that are required under the ORC by law, which includes things like, dog wardens and being able to intervene when there is cruelty associated, and to be able to actually prosecute people for that. That will never be out of the commissioner's purview. So I just wanted to make sure that, that is false information, and that doesn't happen in any of the counties. One of the other things that's come out many times is that there aren't many animal shelters in the state of Ohio. That's not true either. Almost every county in the state of Ohio has an animal shelter. And almost every county in the state of Ohio has a humane society, just like we do here. Humane societies are licensed by the agricultural department, and anyone can be a humane society that meets the requirements and fills out the paperwork. So, just to name a few, Cuyahoga has an animal shelter. Summit has an animal shelter. Shelby County has an animal shelter. Many Ohio counties. And in fact, that is the most common portion of the ORC, because the ORC has the requirements in it for that. Just want to make sure that we talked about that. Today, you talked about Andrew Stober. Andrew Stober has gotten an audience with the sheriff of our county, Sheriff Stratton. And Sheriff Stratton has actually been at his home, and they have had an opportunity to meet. And after that, they have actually come over to the sheriff's department, where he has met with other agencies, including drug enforcement and some of our detectives that work that detail. One other person who was on probation was actually charged and brought to our jail for being in that facility while they were under probation. So a lot of the things that have been said today have changed, and that's a whole different situation. The other thing I would touch on is that addiction isn't any different than any other mental illness that there is. And a lot of people talk about that. The case at my home and close to my neighbors was a mental illness also. And so is anybody who suffers from substance use disorder. And so that is handled here at Clermont County under our mental health and addiction board. And so it's not different, it's the same. So I just want to make sure that you understand that. That's where it's all about. It's mine. And so, right. And so, no. It's not your time to speak. Not your time to speak. You've had your time to speak. Okay. Again, if you continue to disrupt this meeting, I'll have you removed from the meeting. We need to move on. Okay. So with that, we will move on to the consent agenda. Item number E. Board, you've had a consent agenda prepared for you. You've had an opportunity to review it. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Any issues? Conversation? Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes. Item number F is the non-consent agenda. Non-consent agenda starts on page 5 with item 12. Item 12 is a recommendation that the Board of County Commissioners adopt resolution number 007-25 to approve payment to vendors in the total amount of $1,700,698.87, as outlined in the BCC approval invoice reports for checks dated January 29, 2025. BCC directed prepaid invoice reports and the procurement card transaction report as presented by the county auditor on 1/27/25, and further authorizing the county auditor to issue warrants pursuant to and in compliance with Section 319.16 of the Ohio Revised Code. Do I have a motion to pay the bills?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran? Commissioner Painter?
Yes. Item 13.
Good
Morning.
Item 13 is a recommendation to authorize David L. Painter, President of the Board of County Commissioners, or in his absence, any member of the board, to execute an agreement between the Board of County Commissioners of Clermont County, Ohio, and Summit Food Services, LLC, for food services consisting of the Good to Go Dining, a self-serve kiosk program to remain in effect through December 31st, 2025, with additional one-year renewals upon written agreement of the parties, with no cost to the Board of County Commissioners or the county sheriff.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 13. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Then moved and second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Corcoran? Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes. Major, thank you. Item number 14. Morning.
Morning.
Item 14 is a recommendation to authorize David L. Painter, President of the Board of County Commissioners, or in his absence, any other member of the Board of County Commissioners, to execute the agreement for National Web Check Program Services and Equipment between the Board of Clermont County Commissioners on behalf of the Clermont County Department of Job and Family Services and the Ohio Attorney General Bureau of Criminal Investigation to allow staff of DJFS to continue to obtain Bureau of Criminal Investigation background checks and Federal Bureau of Investigation background checks on employees, including intern, potential in-home child care providers, as well as potential foster and adoptive parents to the National Web Check Program at the current rate of $22 for a BCI background check and $25.25 for FBI background checks, to be billed based on usage per month, effective upon the date of signature by the Ohio Attorney General and ongoing until terminated, pursuant to the terms and conditions of the agreement and contingent upon the release of the required purchase order.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 14. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
I will second.
It's been moved and second. Any further conversation? Roll call.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran? Commissioner Painter?
Yes. Thank you. Item 15.
Morning.
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 Item 15, a recommendation to award the bid and execute the professional services agreement for the enterprise-grade access control system between the Clermont County Board of County Commissioners and Mobilecom of Cincinnati, Ohio, for the most responsive bid received on January 2nd, 2025, as detailed in Exhibit A, for a total cost not to exceed $581,859.94, with services to be completed within 365 calendar days of the receipt of the signed contract by the company and the notice to proceed, in compliance with the terms and conditions of the agreement and contingent upon the receipt of the required purchase order.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 15. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Then moved and second. Any further conversation? Roll call.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes. Item number 16. You bet.
Recommendation to acknowledge the updated signature by Commissioner Painter, President, Clermont County Board of Commissioners, on the revised Microsoft Program signature form for enterprise enrollment number 5947243 between the County of Clermont County, between the County of Clermont, Ohio, and Microsoft Corporation, Reno, Nevada, and originally executed by the President of the Board on 12/18/2024. The updated signature form reflects the product selection form product number change from 2779200 277.007 to 2779.200.008 for the correct products listed within the agreement for Clermont County, with all other terms and conditions remaining in full force and effect.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 16. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Anything further? Roll call.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes, thank you. Item 17.
Item 17 is a recommendation to award the bid and execute the contract for project number 6401-60231 for the Rumpke Road Area Water Main Replacement Project located in Union Township pursuant to the plans and specs to Rack and Belore Excavating Company Incorporated out of Hamilton, Ohio, for their lowest and best bid received on December 5th, 2024, for a total amount not to exceed $2,183,577, and in compliance with the terms and conditions of the contract and conditioned upon the release of the required purchase order. So their bid was about 72% of our engineer's estimate, which was about $700,000 below that. And this project will replace about 8,500 feet of the 1950s cast iron that was installed in that area and that of Rumpke Road. And the project is scheduled to be complete December of this year.
December.
December, yes.
Board, you've heard the reading item number 17. Do I have a motion for approval?
Make the motion.
I'll second.
Then move and second. Anything further? Roll call.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes. Item 18.
Item 18 is a recommendation to award the bid and execute the contract for project number 6402-60242 for the Felicity Wastewater Treatment Plant Screen Replacement Project located in Franklin Township pursuant to the plans and specs to Joel Lehman Limited out of Tip City, Ohio, for their lowest and best bid received on December 19th, 2024, for a total amount not to exceed $497,000 in compliance with the terms and conditions of the contract and contingent upon the release of the required purchase order. So this will replace that screening equipment. It's about 30 years old that was installed at the plant.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 18. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any further conversation? Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes. Item 19.
Item 19 is a recommendation to execute a contract for professional services between Clermont County Commissioners and McGill Smith Puncheon Incorporated out of Cincinnati, Ohio, for engineering design services for project number 6401-60249 for the Amelia Olive Branch Road Water Main Replacement Project located in Batavia Township. As outlined in Exhibit A from their proposal dated December 6, 2024, for a total amount not to exceed $138,800, with said services to be completed within 241 consecutive calendar days upon issuance of a written notice to proceed from the Water Resources Department, exclusive of county review time and contingent upon the release of the required purchase order. So this is designed for replacement of about 7,500 feet of 8-inch water main that was installed in the 1950s. It will go along Amelia Olive Branch from Clough Pike to Taylor Road. We're replacing the 8-inch with 12-inch.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 19. Do I have a motion for approval?
Make the motion.
I'll second.
Been moved and second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes. Thanks, Lyle.
Lyle, did we have a water main break in Amelia area this morning?
Right there on 125 and Wide Open and Lewis, right that by Sam's.
They always call me.
They're out there working.
Thank you.
Emily, good morning.
I have a recommendation to resolve, approve, and authorize changes in the annual appropriation resolution number 151-24 for calendar year 2025. I have 4 supplemental appropriations. The first is municipal court regular salary for $9,860. The second is municipal court fringe benefits, $3,350. The clerk of the municipal court salaries for $39,400, and the clerk of municipal court fringe benefits for $13,350. And this is just changing of some allocation of someone's salary.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 20. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Been moved and second. Anything further? Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes. We also have one other agenda item we need to talk about, right? That was tabled.
Yeah, we have to bring the dog kennel policy off the table for consideration.
So, could I get a motion to bring the Clermont County Dog Kennel Volunteer Policy off the table that was previously tabled until today?
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Been moved in second. Roll call.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. So with the dog kennel volunteer policy is back off the table, and Angie, would you bring us up to date on that? Probably read the resolution first and then.
Yes, resolution, recommendation to approve the volunteer policy for the Clermont County Dog Kennel and to authorize the implementation effective upon approval. The update I have for you, you all know that I have been working with some of the current volunteers on the policy. I feel like we've made some really good moves on it. I think it's going to be really good. However, I would respectfully ask for a little bit more time just to get it exactly where we all need it to be. I don't want to rush it. I think there's a few more changes we still need to make. So I would ask that actually go off the table again or on the table again.
So continue to table it to a time certain next meeting?
2 weeks.
2 weeks for
End
council.
end of February.
Review also.
2 weeks actually would probably be good if we could do that.
What does that take us to as far as date, Gail?
Would be the 12th.
12? 2/12? So I'd ask for a motion to table the Clermont County Dog Kennel Volunteer Policy 24/1209-001 until a time certain at February 12th, 2025 at our regular meeting.
I'll make the motion to
It's
do
been
that.
moved.
I'll second that.
Moved and second. Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes, we will leave that volunteer policy table, and I know that'll give a chance for legal to review it. But I think it's very close.
Yes, thank you so much for your patience on that.
Thank you. All righty,
Mr. Painter,
ma'am.
at this time, we might need to take a recess. We have some folks here.
Okay, they are here.
Yes,
so-
they are.
Okay, then
15 minutes possibly.
15 is 15 enough?
Yeah.
To 11:15. Then I would request that we recess until 11:15. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes, we will return at 11:15. Thank you. We have returned from recess and we will continue our regular agenda. We had finished our non-consent and additions to our agenda. Are there any further additions to the agenda?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then I'll move to number 8, or I should say H, executive session. I'm requesting an executive session pursuant to section 121.22 G1, G2, and G6 of the Ohio Revised Code to first consider the employment or compensation of a public employee or more public employees. Second, to consider the sale of property at competitive bidding or the sale of other disposition or unneeded, obsolete, or unfit for use property in accordance with section 505.10 of the Ohio Revised Code. If premature disclosure of information would give an unfair advantage or a bargaining advantage to a person whose personal private interest is adverse to the general public interest. And 3, to discuss details relative to the security arrangements and emergency response protocols for a public body or public office. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes, we will move to executive session. We will return and we will conduct further business. Thank you. We have returned from executive session. There were no decisions made and no actions taken. We will move on with the agenda. We'll go back to item I, county staff and elected official discussions. I know Angie had come up. Thanks, Angie, today. Is there anyone else that wants to talk to the board from our staff?
Commissioners, just really quickly, we had a comment about our website and a link to maybe some other animal shelters. So we're gonna take a look at that. There may be some stuff embedded that we're not aware of, and we'll get that cleared out for you.
All right.
Yep.
Anything else? Then we'll move to item J as member comments. Board members, any comments today? Anything you want to discuss? Okay, with that, I will ask for a motion to adjourn today's meeting.
I'll make the motion. I'll second. Sorry.
Okay.
It's been moved and second. Any further conversation or items of discussion? Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes, thank you for being with us this beautiful day and on the 29th of January, where we actually had some sunshine. You know, we really appreciate that, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you.